The planet Xyleris hung in the darkness of space like a wounded jewel. Smoke rose from its surface, curling into the cold sky, and massive craters scarred the land where cities once thrived. Alien towers lay in ruins, twisted metal catching the faint light of Xyleris's two suns. It was a place of destruction, a battlefield where life clung desperately to existence. Amid the chaos, a small, glowing beacon rose from a hidden valley. It pulsed faintly, almost invisible among the smoke and fire. To anyone else, it would have been a flicker of light, barely worth noticing. But in the orbiting Terran command station, it blared like an alarm. Captain Lena Royce stared at the screen, her sharp eyes scanning the signal feed. Her team of elite Marines, trained for situations most humans could not survive, stood behind her, watching in silence. Lena's hands rested on the control panel, fingers tapping a rapid rhythm as she processed the strange reading. "This isn't a standard distress call," said Lieutenant Rafi Chen, the squad's communications officer. "The frequency, it's complex. Almost like it's trying to talk to us, not just send a warning." "Show me the source," Lena ordered. The screen zoomed in, revealing a planet shrouded in smoke, jagged mountains, and rivers of molten rock. The signal emanated from the center of the largest crater. Lena felt a familiar tension settle in her chest, a mixture of curiosity, fear, and duty. "Prepare the dropship," she said. "We're going in." The Marines moved with practiced precision. In minutes, they had loaded their gear, secured their armor, and checked their weapons. The Helios-class dropship shivered as it detached from the command station, sliding into the blackness of space. The hum of the engines filled the cabin, a steady reminder of human engineering and determination. "Atmosphere is thin," Chen said, checking the environmental scanners. "We'll need to keep suits sealed until we reach the surface." Lena nodded. She had led many missions before, but something about this felt different. This was not a simple rescue operation. This was a cry for help from a civilization she had never seen, from a species humanity had never met. Yet the signal carried an urgency she could not ignore. The ship entered Xyleris's atmosphere, and the world below unfolded like a scarred painting. Thick smoke twisted into the sky, hiding much of the land from view. Lava rivers ran like glowing veins, illuminating ruined cities in an eerie red light. Lena gripped the console as the dropship shook from turbulent winds. "Brace for descent," she warned her team. "Stay alert." When they finally touched the ground, the world felt alive in a strange, unsettling way. The air was heavy, filled with the scent of burning metal and strange vegetation. Shadows moved between the ruins, creatures that darted away at the sight of the ship. The Marines disembarked, their boots crunching on blackened rubble, their armor gleaming faintly in the dim light. "Stay in formation," Lena ordered. "We don't know what we're facing." The team moved cautiously, scanning the area with infrared sensors and drones. Every corner of the ruined city held a potential threat. Fallen structures, unstable bridges, and creatures that had adapted to survive the devastation. Yet the signal pulsed steadily, guiding them toward its source. After a tense hour of navigating the ruins, the Marines reached the heart of the crater. There, they found the Valari, the amphibious inhabitants of Xyleris. They were unlike anything the humans had ever seen. Tall, slender beings with translucent skin that shimmered with every emotion, and eyes that glowed softly with bioluminescent light. They huddled together, weak and fearful, their homes destroyed around them. The Valari froze as the humans approached, their bodies quivering with fear. They emitted soft musical tones, not words but emotions, pain, fear, and strangely hope. Captain Royce raised her hand slowly, showing they meant no harm. "We're here to help," she said in a calm, steady voice. "We're Terran Marines." The Valari hesitated, then one stepped forward. It was smaller than the others, its glowing eyes wide with curiosity. Through a device Chen quickly assembled, the Valari's tones were translated into basic human words. "Help, please. Enemies," the alien said, its voice trembling. Lena nodded. "We understand." "You are under attack?" The Valari's glow intensified, showing a mixture of relief and lingering fear. A vision flashed in Lena's mind, sent by the Valari's telepathic connection. Monstrous creatures with armored shells, moving like living machines across the planet. These were the Drakari, relentless conquerors whose armies left nothing alive in their wake. "They are coming," the Valari whispered. "They take all. We have no defense." Lena's jaw tightened. She turned to her team. We're going to change that. For the first time since landing, the Marines felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was more than a mission. It was a chance to save an entire species from extinction. They began to set up a temporary command post, using their drones to scout the surrounding areas. Enemy forces detected, Chen reported, approximately 2 kilometers west. Movement patterns suggest they are hunting survivors. Then we move, Lena said. We protect them. Full combat readiness. The Marines formed a perimeter around the Valari, weapons raised. Their armor clinked as they adjusted positions, their movements fluid and precise. Each Marine knew their role. Protect civilians, scout for threats, and eliminate danger swiftly. In the distance, the shadowy forms of the Drakari appeared, their towering frames moving with unnatural precision. The first clash was sudden. Drakari scouts lunged from the shadows, their clawed limbs slicing through the smoke. The Marines responded with coordinated fire, their energy rifles cutting through the chaos. The Valari, though frightened, watched with awe. They had never seen beings fight with such skill and coordination, humans moving as one, protecting those who could not defend themselves. Stay together, Lena shouted, firing her rifle at a Drakari attempting to flank the group. Cover the Valari. The battle was intense but brief. The Marines' training and technology proved superior to the Drakari scouts, forcing them to retreat into the darkness. Smoke hung thick in the air, mixing with the dust and ash, creating a battlefield where only courage and skill could prevail. After the skirmish, Lena surveyed her team. Not a single Marine was down, though some carried minor injuries. More importantly, the Valari were alive, huddled together, watching the humans with newfound respect. You are safe for now, Lena told them. But the fight isn't over. The Drakari will come back stronger and in greater numbers. We need to prepare. The Valari's glow pulsed in acknowledgement. They began to communicate what they could about their enemies, sharing knowledge of Drakari patterns, weaknesses, and the few places where their people could hide. The humans listened, taking notes, planning their next moves. As night fell on XylerisPrime, the Marines set up defenses around the survivors. Drones hovered silently above, scanning for movement, while energy barriers provided some protection against attacks. The Valari watched from behind the human lines, their expressions a mixture of hope and wonder. They had sent out a silent call for help, and humanity had answered. Lena sat for a moment, looking at the stars above the crater. Somewhere out there, Earth waited, unaware that its Marines had just stepped into a war unlike any other. Yet she felt no fear, only determination. They were Terran Marines. They did not turn away from the call for help, and tomorrow the battle for XylerisPrime would truly begin. The first night on XylerisPrime passed with tension thick in the smoky air. Captain Lena Royce stood watch atop a jagged hill, her armor glinting faintly under the dim light of the planet's twin suns. Around her, Terran Marines patrolled in disciplined formations, rifles ready, drones scanning for any sign of movement. Below, the Valari huddled in small groups, their glowing bodies flickering nervously in the darkness. They had never experienced true protection before, never felt the presence of beings who would risk everything to keep them alive. Every flash of Terran weapons during the earlier skirmish had been a revelation. Humans fought not for conquest, not for greed, but to shield the helpless captain, Lieutenant Rafi Chen said, his voice quiet but firm over the comlink. Scanners showed Drakari movement about 5 clicks north. They're scouting, likely looking for survivors to hunt. Lena's jaw tightened. Then we move before they do. Prep the squads. We can't let them corner the Valari. The Marines moved swiftly, silent and precise. They navigated through ruined streets, the blackened remains of Xyleris' cities casting long shadows under the pale light. Smoke curled around broken towers like living fingers, and molten rivers of lava glowed like fiery veins in the distance. The air smelled of burnt metal and alien vegetation, a mixture that made every breath feel heavy. As they advanced, the Marines observed more of the planet's devastation. Buildings lay in twisted heaps, streets were ripped apart, and strange alien creatures darted between the ruins, some fleeing the approaching Drakari. The Valari had lived in fear for decades, their society shattered by an enemy that allowed no mercy. This is worse than our report suggested, Sergeant Miko Tanaka muttered, scanning the area with his drone. Entire districts erased. This isn't just a war, it's a purge. Lena nodded. Then we make sure the purge ends here. We're not leaving a single Valari behind. The team soon found a small group of Valari hiding in the wreckage of what had once been a grand plaza. Their translucent skin shimmered faintly with fear, and their soft tones carried a mix of relief and wariness as the humans approached. One of the Valari, taller than the others and marked with faint luminescent patterns, stepped forward. "They come again," it said, its voice trembling. "Many die. We cannot fight." Lena knelt slightly, bringing herself closer to their level without lowering her authority. "You don't have to fight alone. We're here. We'll help you." The Valari's glow flickered uncertainly. Then, slowly, they began to communicate what they knew. Using a combination of telepathy and basic translation devices, they described the Drakari. Massive, heavily armored beings with mechanical-like precision. Their numbers were overwhelming, their attacks ruthless. The Valari had tried to resist, but without allies, their resistance was futile. "They strike from the east," a Valari elder said. "Machines, weapons, fire everywhere. No one survives if we fight alone." Lena listened carefully, noting their information in her digital pad. "Then we fight together. We can use your knowledge of the land, your secret paths, your hidden shelters, and we bring Terran firepower to even the odds." With a tentative trust forming between the humans and the Valari, Captain Royce began organizing a defensive plan. She assigned squads to protect the civilians, set up perimeter patrols, and deployed drones to monitor enemy movements. The Valari, though weak and unfamiliar with combat strategy, offered guidance on terrain and hidden passageways, providing the Marines with knowledge they could not have gained otherwise. By midday, Drakari scouts appeared again, moving cautiously through the smoke. This time the Marines were ready. Energy rifles hummed to life and the drones flew into the air, their sensors glowing as they picked up heat signatures. "Hold fire until they're close," Lena ordered. "We need to make a statement. Let them know we're not easy prey." When the Drakari entered the open plaza, they were met with precise, coordinated fire. The Terran Marines moved as one, using cover, suppressing fire, and careful flanking maneuvers. The Valari, inspired by the humans, began guiding the Marines through shortcuts and hidden paths, allowing the team to strike quickly and retreat before the enemy could regroup. Despite being outnumbered, the humans' strategy and coordination gave them the upper hand. The Drakari were strong and relentless, but the Marines' ingenuity and the Valari's local knowledge allowed them to survive the first major battle. Some Drakari fell back, injured and confused, while the rest regrouped in the shadows, waiting for another chance to strike. After the skirmish, the Valari approached the humans cautiously. Their glowing bodies flickered in patterns that spoke of gratitude. "You protect us," one said. "We never had this." Lena allowed herself a small, rare smile. "It's what we do. No one survives alone if we can help them." The day passed with more scouting, minor skirmishes, and careful planning. The Marines set up temporary safe zones, ensuring that Valari families could rest without fear of immediate attack. Small victories like rescuing trapped civilians or rerouting lava flows gave the Valari hope for the first time in years. As night fell, the planet seemed quieter. Smoke hung low in the air, and distant fires cast a dim orange glow across the cratered landscape. Captain Royce gathered her team in a small clearing. "We've done well today," she said, her voice steady but firm. "We've shown the Valari what humans can do, but this is only the beginning. The Drakari will come back stronger and with more numbers. We need to be ready." Sergeant Tanaka checked her weapons. "They'll learn to fear us, Captain." "Today we didn't just protect them, we sent a message." Lena nodded. "Yes, but we can't let pride cloud judgment. Every victory counts, but every loss can cost lives. Stay sharp. Protect the Valari. And remember, we fight not for glory, but for hope." Over the next few hours, the Marines strengthened defenses, trained the Valari in basic survival tactics, and used their drones to map enemy positions. The Valari, initially timid and afraid, began showing glimpses of courage. They learned to move quietly, to warn of approaching threats, and to use their natural abilities to assist in reconnaissance. By the end of the second night, the bond between the humans and Valari had deepened. Trust was no longer tentative, it was forming into a partnership. Humans brought strength, discipline, and strategy. The Valari offered knowledge, agility, and an intimate understanding of their world. Together they had survived the first trials, but beyond the crater, in the dense forests and across the lava plains, the Drakari armies gathered. Their commanders communicated through harsh mechanical tones, unaware that a new threat had arrived on Xyleris Prime. A threat that moved with precision, fought with courage, and refused to turn away from those who called for help. As Captain Lena Royce watched over the Valari settlements, she felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. This was not just a mission. This was a battle for life itself, and every decision she made would ripple through the fate of an entire species. Yet despite the danger and uncertainty, she felt a spark of hope. Humanity had come to Xyleris Prime not to conquer, not to exploit, but to protect. And in doing so, they had reminded the universe of what humans could be: courageous, selfless, and unyielding in the face of impossible odds. The smoke and ash swirled around them like a shroud, but through it, the glow of Terran resolve shone brightly. Tomorrow, the fight would escalate. Tomorrow, the Drakari would test their strength against the Marines and the Valari. But tonight, humanity had shown its heart. And for the Valari, that was more powerful than any weapon. The sun rose over Xyleris Prime, casting long shadows across the cratered landscape. Smoke still lingered in the air, curling from burning ruins like restless ghosts. Captain Lena Royce stood on a jagged ridge overlooking the settlement of Valari survivors. Her face was calm, but inside she felt the weight of the battle ahead. The Drakari were no longer mere scouts, they were preparing for a full assault. "We can't wait for them to attack us," Lena said to her team. "We need to strike at the heart of their operation before they destroy everything here." Lieutenant Rafi Chen nodded, studying the maps on his portable console. "The Valari intelligence suggests a command hub deep in the eastern forests. That's where the Drakari coordinate their forces. If we can take it out, we can disrupt their attack patterns." Sergeant Miko Tanaka cracked her knuckles. "Sounds dangerous. But I like it." Lena's lips curved slightly. "Danger is what we do best." The team prepared for the mission. Each Marine checked their armor, weapons, and communication devices. Drones were loaded with reconnaissance equipment, and medical kits were packed for the wounded they might encounter. The Valari offered guidance, pointing out hidden paths through the forests, natural barriers that could provide cover, and underground tunnels that could be used for stealthy movement. "This terrain is perfect for ambushes," Chen observed. "We'll need to stay alert. Every shadow could be hiding Drakari patrols." The Marines moved out in silence, each step careful and deliberate. They navigated through the ash-covered ruins, then into dense alien forests where towering trees with phosphorescent leaves created an eerie glow. Strange sounds echoed around them: distant screeches, the rustling of unseen creatures, and the soft hum of alien machinery in the distance. "Keep your eyes sharp," Lena whispered. "And remember, we're not just here to fight. We're here to protect lives." The team advanced through the forest for hours. The deeper they went, the more dangerous it became. Alien predators, drawn by the scent of movement, slithered between trees, their glowing eyes watching silently. Lena's Marines remained calm, firing only when necessary, using non-lethal methods to distract and mislead the creatures when possible. Finally, they reached the outer perimeter of the Drakari command hub. Massive structures rose from the ground, blackened and angular, bristling with weapons and strange antennae. The ground trembled as Drakari soldiers patrolled, their mechanical-like movements precise and deadly. "We'll split into 2 teams," Lena instructed. "Team Alpha, led by me, will move in from the north. Team Bravo, led by Tanaka, will create a diversion on the south side. Chen, you handle drones and communications. Keep our link open at all times." The plan was risky. The Drakari were powerful, and the command hub was heavily guarded. But Lena trusted her team. Humans had a way of adapting, of turning even the deadliest situations into opportunities. Team Alpha advanced stealthily, moving between shadows and using the Valari's hidden paths. The Drakari guards were massive, their armored bodies glowing faintly with energy shields. Lena studied their patrol patterns, timing each movement with precision. "This is it," she whispered into her comlink. "Stay calm. Watch each other's backs. Let's move." They struck swiftly. Using advanced energy rifles and tactical grenades, the Marines disabled several guards without alerting the entire hub. Drones provided surveillance, marking enemy positions and scanning for traps. Every step was calculated, every movement synchronized. Meanwhile, Team Bravo created chaos on the southern perimeter. Explosions and gunfire drew Drakari attention, forcing them to respond. The hub's defenses shifted, creating openings for Team Alpha to move deeper. Inside the hub, Lena and her Marines faced the full strength of the Drakari. Soldiers poured from hidden corridors, their claws and weapons striking with deadly speed. But the humans were ready. Shields absorbed energy blasts, rifles fired in controlled bursts, and hand-to-hand combat skills kept them alive in the close quarters. The Valari provided support where they could. Using their telepathic abilities, they disrupted Drakari coordination, causing confusion among the ranks. Lena watched as humans and Valari moved together, a single force of precision and determination. At the heart of the hub, Lena encountered the Drakari commander. Towering above her, it exuded power and menace. Its armor was nearly impervious and its movements were rapid and calculated. But Lena did not hesitate. She used a combination of agility, quick thinking, and teamwork to outmaneuver it. "Team now," she shouted. The Marines launched a coordinated attack, striking at weak points the Valari had identified. Energy blasts, precision strikes, and clever tactics forced the commander back, giving Lena a chance to deliver the decisive blow. With a final surge of strength and a well-aimed shot, the Drakari commander fell, its armor sparking and collapsing in defeat. The command hub began to destabilize. Alarms blared as systems failed and energy fields collapsed. Lena's team moved quickly, evacuating civilians and retreating through the tunnels they had used to enter. The hub exploded behind them, sending shockwaves through the forest. Outside, the Valari cheered, their bioluminescent patterns flashing brightly in celebration. They had survived the impossible thanks to the humans who had come to their aid. Lena stood among her team, catching her breath. "We've made a difference," she said quietly. "But this is only one battle. There are still more to fight, and the Drakari will not forget today." The Valari approached, glowing softly. "You saved many," one said. "We never thought help would come." Lena nodded. "Humans don't leave those in need. Today we fought together. Tomorrow we'll continue. You are not alone." As the team regrouped, Chen scanned the area. Sensors show more Drakari forces moving in. "They'll be here soon, but they won't find us unprepared. We've learned their patterns, and we can use that to our advantage." Tanaka clapped Lena on the shoulder. "Captain, your plan worked perfectly. The Valari see what we are now, humans who fight for more than themselves. They see heroes." Lena looked out over the forest where the smoke of the destroyed hub still rose in the distance. "We're more than heroes," she said. "We're protectors, and that is a reputation that carries farther than any weapon." As night fell, the Marines and Valari returned to the crater settlement. They shared stories of the mission, taught the Valari new tactics, and reinforced defenses. Bonds formed stronger than ever, built on trust, courage, and shared purpose. In the shadows beyond the crater, the Drakari regrouped. Their massive forces would not forget this defeat. But Lena and her Marines had shown that even the most terrifying enemies could be challenged, and that humanity's courage and ingenuity could inspire hope in the darkest places. Captain Lena. Royce stood at the edge of the settlement, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth watched, unaware that its Marines had turned the tide on a distant world. But it didn't matter. Humans did not fight for recognition. They fought for life, for hope, for the helpless who could not defend themselves. And on Xyleris Prime, humanity had arrived, not to conquer but to save. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new battles, and new opportunities for heroism. But tonight, in the heart of the storm, the Terran Marines had shown their true strength, bravery, skill, and an unwavering belief that no one should face danger alone. The smoke of the destroyed Drakari command hub still hung in the forest of Xyleris Prime, but there was no time to rest. Captain Lena Royce and her Terran Marines returned to the Valari settlement to regroup, knowing the enemy would not remain idle. Reports from scouts and drones indicated that the Drakari were preparing a new, far more dangerous weapon, a massive energy cannon capable of destroying entire cities in seconds. "This changes everything," Lena said, studying the holographic map. The cannon was heavily guarded and positioned atop a plateau surrounded by lava flows and sharp cliffs. If they fire that, the settlement and every nearby area could be wiped out. "We can't let that happen." Lieutenant Rafi Chen pointed at the map. "Their patrols are dense, but there's a narrow canyon to the west. It's risky, but it gives us a stealth approach. We can get close without being detected." Sergeant Miko Tanaka grinned. "Risky is our middle name. Let's turn the tables on them." The plan was simple but dangerous. infiltrate the enemy's defenses, disable the cannon, and escape before the Drakari could respond. Lena split the team into 3 groups. Team Alpha, led by herself, would move directly toward the cannon. Team Bravo under Tanaka would create diversions and draw enemy forces away. Chen would control drones for surveillance, hacking, and tactical support. The Valari would provide intelligence, guiding the humans through hidden paths and using their psychic abilities to confuse the enemy. As the team moved through the canyon, molten lava flowed dangerously close on either side, casting an orange glow that reflected off the Marine's armor. Smoke and ash made visibility difficult, but the team advanced with precision. Every step was calculated, every movement silent. "Keep your eyes open," Lena whispered. "The Drakari won't expect us here, but that doesn't mean they aren't ready." Hours passed as they navigated treacherous terrain. Sudden heat burst from the lava, and collapsing rock forced them to adjust constantly. The Valari led them along hidden paths through jagged cliffs, using their knowledge of the land to avoid Drakari patrols. Finally, they reached the outer perimeter of the cannon installation. Massive walls, bristling with Drakari weapons, rose before them. Patrols moved with precision, scanning for threats. Lena studied the patterns carefully. Timing and strategy would determine success or failure. "Team Bravo, initiate diversion," Lena ordered. A distant explosion sent Drakari patrols rushing toward the south side, leaving gaps in the northern approach. Team Alpha moved forward, using stealth and the terrain for cover. As they infiltrated the installation, the Drakari defenses became more intense. Energy barriers hummed with power, and automated turrets tracked movement. Chen guided the drones through ventilation shafts and control nodes, disabling security systems and opening paths for the Marines. "Almost there," Chen whispered. "Just a few more meters and you'll be at the cannon control room." The Marines moved cautiously, taking out guards silently when necessary. The Valari provided psychic interference, creating confusion among the Drakari soldiers. The humans' discipline and training allowed them to advance where brute force alone would have failed. Inside the control room, Lena surveyed the massive cannon. Its barrel glowed ominously, pulsing with raw energy. The weapon was immense, far more destructive than anything the Marines had faced before. The cannon's power source was protected by layers of shielding, requiring precision strikes to disable it. "We have one chance," Lena said. "Chen, you guide the drones to the energy nodes. Tanaka, provide cover. We hit this fast and get out." The team sprang into action. Drones flew into the energy grids, carefully cutting power lines while avoiding detection. Tanaka covered the team, firing at incoming Drakari reinforcements with controlled precision. Lena targeted weak points in the cannon's shielding, coordinating her team to maximize impact. The Drakari responded swiftly, sending more soldiers into the control room. They were massive and powerful, but the Marines' training and teamwork allowed them to hold the line. Every human moved with purpose, covering each other and using their environment strategically. At the peak of the battle, Lena faced the Drakari field commander personally. Towering over her, it swung its armored arms with incredible speed. Lena dodged and countered, using agility and quick thinking to stay alive. With a calculated maneuver, she struck the weak points Chen had identified, forcing the commander to retreat. "Cannon destabilized," Chen shouted through the comlink. "You've got less than 2 minutes before it overloads." The team moved swiftly to evacuate. Energy readings spiked as the cannon's core began to fail. Alarms blared and the installation trembled under the stress. Outside, Team Bravo's diversion ensured that reinforcements were delayed, giving Alpha a clear path to exit. The Marines raced through the canyon, the ground shaking beneath them. The cannon exploded behind them, sending a massive shockwave across the plateau. Lava splashed, rocks fell, and firelight illuminated the fleeing humans. The Drakari forces, caught off guard, scrambled to contain the destruction, but it was too late. Their ultimate weapon was gone. Once clear, Lena looked back at the smoldering ruins. The mission had been a success, but the cost was visible in every burned tree, every collapsed wall. Yet among the Valari, hope blossomed. They had survived what seemed impossible thanks to humanity's courage and determination. "You've saved us," one Valari said softly, glowing brightly with gratitude. "We never imagined—" This, Lena shook her head. "We didn't come here to be imagined. We came to act. Today we fought together, and that's what matters." As the team returned to the settlement, morale was high. The Valari began to repair their homes and fortifications, inspired by the bravery of the Terran Marines. Humans and Valari trained side by side, learning from each other. The Valari taught stealth and psychic strategies, while the Marines trained them in weapons handling, tactics, and teamwork. Yet Lena knew the war was not over. The Drakari were intelligent, ruthless, and relentless. They would return, likely with even greater force, but humanity had proven itself in a way no alien species could forget. Humans did not fight for conquest. They fought for life, for hope, and for those who could not defend themselves. That evening, Lena stood with her team atop the highest hill in the settlement, overlooking the cratered land. Smoke rose in distant columns, but in the valley below, lights flickered as the Valari rebuilt. For the first time, the settlement felt alive, not just surviving, but hopeful. Tanaka broke the silence. "You know, Captain, I think the Valari finally understand what humans are capable of. Not just strength, but heart," Lena nodded. "They've seen the truth. Courage, skill, and compassion can be more powerful than any weapon. And that is what we've shown them," Chen added quietly. "Tomorrow we plan for their next move. The Drakari won't give up, but whatever comes, we'll face it. Together." As stars emerged in the sky, Lena allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. Humanity had arrived on Xyleris Prime not to conquer, not to dominate, but to protect. Every battle, every risk, every decision had been made for the sake of others. And in the hearts of the Valari, that lesson would last for generations. The smoke of battle would fade, the fires would die down, but the impact of human courage would remain. Xyleris Prime would rebuild, stronger and more resilient, because humans had shown them that even in the darkest storm, hope could survive. And as Captain Lena Royce looked toward the horizon, she knew that the tides had truly turned. Humanity's presence on Xyleris Prime had made a difference, and the legend of Terran courage was only beginning. Tomorrow, the Drakari would return. But tonight, humanity had proven that no enemy, no matter how strong, could break the spirit of those who fight for life and hope. The smoke over Xyleris Prime had begun to thin. The ash settled gently on the cracked streets, and the fires from the destroyed Drakari installation slowly died out. The twin suns cast a warm, golden light across the cratered landscape, revealing both the scars of war and the resilience of life. Captain Lena Royce stood atop a ridge overlooking the Valari settlement. Below her, the alien citizens were busy rebuilding. Shimmering structures rose from the ruins, and soft glowing lights began to flicker along streets once filled with terror. Children laughed and played cautiously, their glowing bodies reflecting wonder rather than fear. The humans had not only protected the Valari, they had inspired hope. Sergeant Miko Tanaka joined her, scanning the horizon. "You did it, Captain. They're alive because of us, and they'll remember that for a long time." Lena nodded. "We didn't just fight. We taught them something important. That even when everything seems lost, help can arrive. Courage and compassion make a difference." Lieutenant Rafi Chen adjusted his comm devices, watching the drones hover over the settlement. Sensors show Drakari forces withdrawing. "They've lost too many troops and their morale is broken. We've earned some peace, for now." The Valari approached cautiously, their glowing bodies illuminating their cautious smiles. One elder stepped forward, the patterns on their skin flickering in what Lena recognized as respect. "You Terrans saved us," the elder said. "We thought all was lost. Now, life can return." Lena offered a small smile. "We didn't come here for recognition. We came to protect, and to show that even in the darkest times, someone will fight for what is right." The Valari guided the humans through the settlement, showing areas where families had returned, where new shelters were being built, and where the first plants of the new season had begun to grow. Every corner of the settlement reflected the combined effort of humans and Valari, technology and alien ingenuity working together. "Look at this," Chen said, pointing to a small group of Valari children, mimicking the Marines' drills with wooden replicas of weapons. "They're learning, but not to fight blindly. They're learning discipline, strategy, and courage," Tanaka chuckled. "That's our legacy more than battles won. They'll carry our lessons forward." Lena's thoughts drifted to Earth, where the fleets had been watching from afar. Humanity had sent soldiers to protect a distant species, and the impact was greater than any human technology or weapon. The Terran Marines had reminded an entire civilization what it meant to fight for others. "Captain," Chen said quietly, breaking her thoughts. The Valari want to honor the team. A ceremony. They want everyone to see the humans who came from the smoke. Lena hesitated. She was not a woman of pomp or celebration, but she knew the significance. Then we accept, she said. But remind them, this is about hope, not glory. The ceremony took place in the central plaza of the rebuilt settlement. The Valari gathered, their glowing forms reflecting joy, respect, and relief. Families stood together, survivors who had once feared annihilation now alive and free. Lena watched as the Valari leaders spoke, their words translated through the devices Chen had set up. You came from the stars, one elder said, into the smoke, the fire, and the shadow of death. You fought not for power, not for wealth, but for life itself. We thank you. The humans stood tall, not out of pride, but out of quiet strength. They were soldiers trained for combat, but here their courage had taken on a deeper meaning. They had fought to protect, to inspire, and to give hope where it had nearly died. Children ran forward, placing small gifts of glowing crystal and painted symbols in front of the Marines. Lena knelt, accepting them carefully, feeling the weight of gratitude heavier than any metal. We will continue to watch over Xyleris, she said softly, and we will never forget this world, nor will you forget the lesson that even in darkness help can come. That night the humans and Valari shared a quiet moment together. Fires burned safely in the plazas, casting warm light over faces marked by relief. The Valari told stories of their ancestors, of times when hope had been nearly extinguished. The Marines shared tales of Earth, of humanity's struggles and triumphs. In the stories, cultures mingled and understanding deepened. As dawn broke over the cratered valleys, the Terran Marines prepared to leave. Their mission on XylerisPrime had been a success, but they knew the galaxy was vast, and threats were never far away. Yet for this moment they had changed a world. Lena looked back at the settlement, at the Valari rebuilding with hope in their hearts. This is why we do what we do, she said. Not for war, not for conquest, but to protect life and to give hope when it seems lost. Tanaka nodded. They'll tell the story for generations. About humans who came from the smoke and stood with them when all seemed lost. Chen added, and the legend will spread. Humanity will be known not just for strength, but for courage and compassion. As the dropship lifted from XylerisPrime, Lena took one last look at the planet. The scars of war remained, but life had returned. The Valari had survived, and the bond between their species and humanity had been forged in the crucible of battle. The galaxy is wide, Lena said to her team, and there will be more battles, more cries for help. But wherever we go, humanity will answer. Not for glory, not for conquest, but because it is the right thing to do. The ship climbed higher, leaving the cratered lands behind. Smoke and ash faded into the distance, replaced by the vast, calm expanse of space. Yet the impact of human courage remained, a permanent mark on XylerisPrime. The Valari watched from below, their glowing forms shining in the rising sun. They had witnessed humans in their truest form, disciplined, brave, and compassionate. Humanity had proven that even the smallest group could make a difference against overwhelming odds. Captain Lena Royce allowed herself a small, rare smile. They had not just survived, they had inspired. And that was the essence of being human. To fight not only with strength, but with heart. The story of XylerisPrime would be told for generations, a legend of courage, partnership, and hope. Humans had arrived in the smoke and emerged as protectors, not conquerors. And somewhere in the stars, other worlds would take notice, knowing that when help was needed, humanity would answer. As the dropship disappeared into the darkness of space, the settlement glowed faintly in the morning light, a testament to resilience, unity, and the enduring power of hope. And in that quiet moment amidst the smoke and ruins, one truth was clear. Wherever darkness threatened life, humanity would rise steadfast and unyielding, ready to protect and inspire.